had gone out of the office to get some lunch in downtown Monterey, and the phone rings from a client. So I pick it up, and the person explains he was having some issues on medicine that he needed for his cancer treatment. And so, wow, okay, that's pretty serious. Can you email me what you have, and we'll get on it right away. Come back to my office and look at the email. And so I sent it over to Sonia, and she rolled on, customer service manager there at United Ag. Said, Sonia, I need an answer right away on this. We need to really get on this as soon as, like within an hour. I need to get back to him. So she says, I'm on it. And within 30 minutes, I received a call from the client saying, hey, thank you, David. Thank you. I just got a call from my doctor. It's been approved, and I'm going to picking up the medicine. Thank you so much. And, of course, he's thinking I'm a miracle worker. Like, wow, how did I pull this off? And, of course, this is what and why we do business with United Ag is that member-centric customer service, and that they make us look good, us brokers look good.
So the first time, David, when you told me that story, right, it's like, I think you said something like, so the member thought, are you like God?
Yeah,
what
right.
happened? And when I heard that, I use that, even I take it back and tell that story over and over again, because those are the moments that we have to create at United Ag. Today I'm here with David Nikssarian, CEO and President of Nikssarian Insurance Services. And David, this is I've been thinking of doing this since I started the podcast, to sit down and talk to you. But the most exciting part is where I'm today, the Marsh building. So David, what was the reason behind having an office in one of the historic buildings in Monterey? What was the reasoning behind that?
Sure. Thank you, Kirti. Excited to be here today. So we were in search of a new office, and the G.T. Marsh building is built almost 100 years ago, and it's in the entrance to Monterey, very historic. It's on the National Register of Historic Buildings, and it's something that actually Mary visited as a little girl. We actually, during our honeymoon, we had come through here and visited it.
Yeah.
So we have a little history of the building.
Yeah.
And so so we were able to purchase it, and we're just very excited to be here. And it's just been wonderful. It has some nice gardens outside that were built by G.T. Marsh himself, and a lot of original parts of the building that he constructed.
And so it's really, when I walked in today, usually I am sometimes loud and excited. I get excited, and I came in here and it felt so zen. It's so peaceful, and the beautiful trees outside. It reminds me actually of my mom, because my mom is a bonsai artist, and I see those trees outside. Beautiful, beautiful place. So why is there a Japanese theme around here?
G.T. Marsh was the person who constructed the building, was selling Asian antiques and furniture.
Wow,
and so he put the gardens, he constructed the one outside my office here with a Japanese garden theme, and the bonsai and the Japanese maples and along that line. And then on the other side by Mary's office is the Chinese theme of gardens. And that's actually where the turtles are at.
That's where the turtles. So the
Right.
turtles, right? So when you got the building, you got the 6 residents.
Right.
And last time I was here and got a tour, you have very interesting names for your 6 turtles.
Yes, Mary's named them all after Armenian kings and queens, and so it's on our website. So they all have a name. We haven't given a name to all the koi yet, but she's working on it. So.
And what's the Armenian? I know you've grown up Armenian, so
yes.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So my great-grandparents came from Armenia to California around the turn of the century, early 1900s. And so that makes me the 4th generation here in California, and been in farming the entire, all of our generations. And so I grew up on a farm in Fowler, California, just southeast of Fresno.
Yeah.
I remember from a very early age, it was a vineyard, and we would have a small it was either a Massey Ferguson 50 or a Ford 9N tractor going down the vineyard rows, And so our family was out doing the work.
Yeah.
So my dad would put me up on top of the tractor seat. I must have been like 10. I would put both feet on the clutch and it wouldn't move. And then, so he would come up to the tractor, push the clutch down, put it in gear, let it up slowly, and here I am steering it.
Yeah.
And back then it wasn't power steering. Of course, the cab wasn't enclosed. This was, this quite a
The rules
time
were
ago.
different.
Rules were different. And I remember daydreaming a little bit, a little 10-year-old. And so the tractor would start to go up against the vineyard itself.
Yeah.
And then my dad would shout, David, ooh, kind of get my focus back and turn it. When we come to the end of the row, my dad used to have to turn the tractor because I couldn't turn it by myself to get to the next row. And so went to Fresno State University and graduated with a degree in political science. Fun fact, I interviewed to work at a farm association, and the person who interviewed me, working there at the time, was Bill Goodrich.
Oh.
And so the CEO and founder of United Ag. So 1980 was a big year. It's when I started working in the insurance industry. Married my wife, Mary, which has been 43 years, business partner. Couldn't have done it without her. She's an integral part of the business, and just very much count my blessings that we've been married. That we became married. She's my wife, and we've been able to accomplish so much together. It was instilled upon us children a very strong work ethic. Again, the farm wasn't that big, so we would do a lot of work. And if you know the climate in Fresno, the summers can be pretty hot and the winters can be pretty cold.
Yeah.
And I've got memories of pruning vineyard, and as you're separating the vineyard, the grapevine from the vineyard wire, as you're pulling it apart, it snaps back and hits you on the face. You kind of it's like, oh, and in the hot, it's hard work. My father worked very hard. He actually had to work as a carpenter as well, besides farming. There were years before we were able to drive tractor, he would come home from the carpenter and go straight to the farm. Definitely, we worked very hard growing up. Kind of funny, when I had my first job, I was working some long hours compared to, what everyone else, because it was a sales job. So you don't just clock in at, 8 to 5 and you're out. And so I remember someone saying, wow, David, you really work hard. I go, because, people equated hard work as you're working 10 hours.
Right.
Well, I said, I'm used to working 12 longer days in the heat, in the cold.
I've driven
tractors where right before you terrace it for raisins, it's like powder. And again, there's no interior, no cabs. The dust, your head to top to head to bottom in a layer of dust. As I remember saying, look, I'm in an air-conditioned building. When I'm driving an air-conditioned car, I've got a clean shirt on. This doesn't really work. It's not that hard. And so, yes, it all puts it puts a perspective.
Puts in perspective,
of things.
right? When you look at agriculture, and as I'm going through all these interviews and meeting with people, one of the things that comes across is how people are taken care of, right? Providing that service, and what you and I do, providing the service, that's the core. And sometimes when you think of work, when people say, oh, you're a hardworking person, I actually don't think it's work. It's just, this is the way we live. This is our passion. This is life, right? I see you, David, very similar to that, because I've seen you where you don't treat it as work. That's not work for you, right?
We really feel like we're making a difference with people.
Yeah.
We get calls in from people who are sad, frustrated. It's interesting. I'll be in, or I'll even do an employee benefits meeting, annual open enrollment, and we'll go over the summary of benefits and coverage and explain your deductible, your maximum out of pocket. And it just kind of, employees are kind of like, okay, interesting. It's kind of like when we had the fires here in California.
Yeah.
Prior to the fires, people didn't really think about what's my fire insurance limit. But when that fire happened, oh yes, people were very focused. Well, that same thing is on health insurance. So we'll get calls from people saying, I just was diagnosed with cancer. How does this plan work again? And you bet. We will sit down with them, we'll meet with them and explain it to them. And then as the claims, as they come to us with issues, then absolutely our approach is to follow through to the end, to do big on definitely on big on follow-ups. One thing a good friend of mine, Brent Eastman, kind of taught me is whenever we're in a meeting together, we leave the meeting, he doesn't get in the car and drive off. He'll pause in the car, check voicemails, and check emails. And that extra step, that extra mile that we're all doing now is makes all the difference.
I think about what's my role, what are we doing through United Ag, what are we doing through Nikssarian Insurance Services? Yeah, we're providing benefits, we're doing all that, but I think we play a slightly bigger role in what we do. And it's like you said, when I don't need it, I don't think about it. When I need it, I think about it. But when I need it, what we do to that person is our role we are playing in their lives, right? So that kind of warms me up, gives me the chills, because that's what I think our life is all about.
That story you've told about the starfish, about one starfish at a time being saved. We kind of view that. It's right. We are not helping thousands of people a day, but the people we are helping, it's making a huge difference. I mentioned Mary earlier, our vice president, CFO, who's done an amazing job and really helped build this business to where it's at. Our office administration is led by Amanda Bazzano, who's just amazing. And then client services team is headed by Sabrina Taylor, who's, again, very sensitive. And we put ourselves in the person's shoes. Also, my son, Isaac Nikssarian, has been taking over
new dad
the
now.
Sales. Right. And been very impressed with him. He's done a great job.
He's done. And it's so exciting to see the enthusiasm from the next generation coming into this. And really, I think the next gen, I really actually admire them, because they're always looking, what do I get from, is this my job fulfilling, right? And to see Isaac, it's really awesome.
The fascinating part of the new generation is it's amazing to have so many things questioned. You know, like, why is this being done, or what's this? And so, and again, that's where I said earlier about we do need to reinvent ourselves. And of course, and I think to survive, just like United Ag and all the great new programs that have been implemented and are continuing to be implemented, it's the same with us as service reps and insurance brokers. It's just so, as the industry has changed, it's so important that we change along with that to make sure we're meeting the needs of our clients.
Today has to be different than what yesterday was, because today I learned something new. Even after this podcast, thinking through it, I mean, that's the goal, right? Tomorrow we're making some changes because we have to be better tomorrow than we are today. That's who we should be as individuals. That's who we should be as companies too. But going back to Mary, right? So Mary is part of my Women Ag Academy. And I know she's a big support to you and growing as a COO and a CFO. But I see her more, I've gotten to know her on a deeper level through the Women Ag. And absolutely right. She's amazing. And she contributes to our Women Ag leadership. And it's really, really great to have her. A great deep thinker and a people person.
It's been just, like I said, I count my blessings that she's part of the business and part of my life. And so it's going to be 43 years this July,
awesome.
Right? We've been married.
You can see that. She's, this is our third session in the session that she's in. It's amazing on what she contributes to the meeting. So
yeah, she's in demand. She's constantly getting asked to be on boards, and she's got a pretty full plate right now. She's contributes a lot, so she's always in demand.
And an extremely humble person. And I see that, David, with you too. That's what we all are, right? That's what is attractive of being part of United Ag and being part of our service reps, because it's not the attitude, it's not the ego, but it's doing right by people.
Absolutely. And I think too, there's a big family feel.
Yeah.
When you go to United Ag annual meetings, and I definitely encourage members to go. It's just relationships are sometimes there's certain members that are out of the area that we've gotten to know, that we get to see, and it's just a wonderful experience.
When you think of all this, right, the emotions, the relationship, service, does that have a business impact? And somebody listening to this, is that a takeaway for them to explore that? What would you say to that?
I think having a business partner, Mary, first of all, was a huge asset. Again, I keep saying I could have never done it by myself, but it's really hard for people to just get into something like this by themselves.
Yeah.
I think so that'd be my first advice is, definitely need someone to be on with you on it. I think number 2 is it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of hard work. And I think number 3 is, we all forget about I kind of call it the business of doing business. You set up a business and, you need licenses and workers' comp and insurance and all these different things that you don't really think about, carrier appointments, and there's just administration is a lot of work getting set up. Ultimately, it's hard work, I think, and reputation. That's really, really important, is that every client, whether they're small, whether they're large, we treat them the same, and they're very much taken care of, and that reputation is, I think, priceless. And the challenge is engaging with employees, and that's our big challenge from every carrier, is getting to the level to the employee that they're having a surgery and for them to consider going to this provider versus this one, because this one is 20% less cost, but they're both contract providers.
Right.
Getting a lab work done outpatient versus going at a freestanding lab versus going to a hospital.
And building the trust, like you were saying.
I think the way we start that is every engagement we have, one-on-one, that we're successful with that. And successful doesn't mean it turns out perfectly the way the employee wants.
Right.
But the employee feels they've been fairly treated, respectfully, and they understand what the final decision is. And if we can do that with every person we come across, the word will get out.
Right.
And so, and we will build that respect and that engagement, because they'll spread it to the other employees, to the other crews, and word will get out. And so it all really starts back to that one person, that one contact at a time.
Yeah, that's actually interesting, because a lot of people, even people coming into new to United Ag, when you are helping that one person at a time, people feel you need to scale. You're getting bigger. You're a bigger organization scale. But once you scale, you lose that. And that's what happens. So actually, for the listeners, people who might not know the starfish story, so basically I tell this story all the time. So this is a story about an old man. So I usually use the word Monterey because I'm always here on the ocean. So this old man is walking down the beach, and he sees all these starfish dead on the beach. And he picks up one starfish at a time and throws it into the ocean and says, it's just throwing it in the ocean. And this young person, usually when I say young person, some young people don't like it, but so let's take the age off. And so there's another person walking down the beach, and he sees this old man doing this, and he's wondering, what? This sounds like really stupid. Why is this old man, there are thousands and thousands of fish on this beach, and this person is helping, just throwing one starfish at a time. And the old man looks at the other person and says, you know what? I'm going to take that one starfish and put it in the ocean. And looks at him and says, I've helped one starfish. So it's one starfish at a time. And that's exactly what you're talking about. But as you help the one starfish, word goes across, and people, then that spreads. And it's fulfilling that you've helped that one person from a personal standpoint, but that grows. I mean, we have seen the growth happen at United Ag. And that's, in a way, that's what builds trust, right? Because when you are not taking the time, when you're not spending time on the details, when you rush through stuff because you want to go on to the next thing, you lose it. I think that's a good lesson for somebody starting a business, right? Even the smaller of setting up and all that you talked about.
I think when you look at our digital age, there's so much automation going on where you call and it's not picked up by a live person, and you have to punch around numbers, and people, as much as people like the digitalization, no question about it, there's still that longing for human personal contact and that voice to be able to talk. And so I think that's super important. I know United Ag is always
That's our Sophie.
person. Yeah, Sophie picks up, and same here. It's very tempting. You can save money, but again, it's not helping you with that trust and relationship. And people do get very frustrated sometimes being stuck on a loop and all that, right?
One of the things that I want to do, since it's a slightly different podcast episode than my others, which is more based on agriculture industry, my position as the CEO of a health plan, you as a broker and servicing, one of the things that I want to end the episode by challenging or asking for feedback from people listening to this. What else can we as United Ag as a health plan, you as David Nikssarian in your role, what can we do to help make some of these processes easier for our employers? What can we do to make our patients or the members' life easier? This is shout out to everybody who can reach out to either David Nikssarian or reach out to United Ag and see what else can we help you with, because our goal from United Ag's standpoint, from David's standpoint, is to make everybody's life easier, make sure it's not a big line item on the income statement, and overall big picture kind of contribute to bringing the healthcare costs down. I think that's our passion, right? And serving everybody who we serve. And anything else you want to add, David?
I think one other item I was thinking about when we talk about healthcare costs is, I believe the Mexico panel is significantly underutilized. We have certain programs underutilized. That comes to my mind. We talk about an average size employer, and if you were to get 10 employees that say need a hip or knee or heart surgery, and they were to go to Mexico, now we obviously United Ag would pay up to $1,500 travel costs. It would be a minimal copay on most plans, $5 for the surgeon, $5 for the hospital, $5 for a med. Say $20 copay versus here it'd be $6,000 plus or more. If you did it for 10 employees, instead of 100,000, maybe it's going to be 20,000 or 30,000. Even 5 employees, that could actually create almost a negative trend. That's true. And so employers say, what can I do? Well, that's one thing that they can do. The second thing is United Ag has this extensive program going on with Livongo for diabetes care management, sending out letters multiple times, literally begging people to just enroll so we can give you a case that has test strips and a diabetic glucometer blood machine and more information. We know that it's a big problem out in our community. And so employers can help by promoting it with paycheck stuffers and getting that word out. We know Teladoc will eliminate hospital visits because it's a 24/7 and no cost. If employers were to encourage employees to use that, again, publicizing it, that could help control costs. And of course, our health and wellness centers are second to none. True story. I went in for a spider bite, and they looked at it and says, "Yeah, I need to give you something for that. By the way," after he's done that, "by the way, I see you have allergies. What are you taking for that?" And I go, "Well, right now, actually, just over-the-counter things." He goes, "Well, have you tried this medication?" I don't want to say it out loud. I only have a commercial for it. But I said, "Actually, I have, but it's been quite a few years." He says, "Well, I'm going to go ahead and, you want to try it?" I go, "Sure, that sounds great." As I'm walking out the door, I get a ding on my phone. The prescription's already starting to get filled by the pharmacy. Now, I could have gone to an urgent care, and they would have walked in. Of course, I had to wait an hour or two, get the spider bite treated, and then I'd have been excused. I'd admit it. They wouldn't have asked the other questions, the whole body. And the health and wellness centers have a lot of underutilization. There's a lot of capacity there that United is paying for people, for PAs and NPs to be there, but we just don't have the numbers going into it like we should.
David, thank you so much for Bill Goodrich, I guess, our CEO and founder at United Ag, who found you, interviewed you, and it's been a long-term relationship since I've been at United Ag, you've been at United Ag, and it's really, for me, the personal connection and what you and Mary bring to the table makes it even more fulfilling to be that you are part of United Ag. So thank you so much for being who you are.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.